Tronkinak semnol kake mofaseda.
Hey, welcome to Talking in Stations. I'm Matterall, and this is Elise.
Yeah, nice to see you guys.
We're coming to you from Las Vegas. It's live and it's morning, so everybody's dead and it's nice and quiet back here. They'll be up and around in just a few hours and stuff. But it's been great this year. It's 2019, and they had opening ceremonies and talked about all kinds of stuff. And there was a CCP convict up there for the first time I've seen him live as a CCPer, and that was really cool. He even had an vegan shirt on to continue the tradition of misspelling a city's name. But when I saw it, I thought, I really want that shirt. So maybe they'll make two.
You can always, I'm sure they'll put it on like a silent auction or something.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if we're the same size. So we've seen a lot of stuff coming out of Rise that was just yesterday. And then, wow, there's just a ton. This is the first schedule that I can honestly say was packed with different things that I wanted to see. What about you, Elise?
yeah, it felt really, really dense, right? And they front loaded it too. So it was like the keynote as soon as you got here. And then yesterday, CCP Rise's presentation, there was kind of like a buzz about it, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone really wanted to talk about it.
I think he was feeling it too. He felt some pressure.
I think so. I have a feeling like Eve people are not shy about saying what's on their mind, and I saw him in the hallways quite a bit with people saying, hey, we're really waiting to see what you're going to say tomorrow.
Yeah.
We might unsub if you screw it up, so don't mess up. So.
Yeah, like it's not just you guys that pressure Rise, because people here were like, every conversation he was having was stacking it higher and higher. But I think he killed it. He went out there and he looked calm. He presented, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll go ahead and save that for a little bit later. But what are some of the highlights that you had behind the scenes?
So we changed venues this year, so it's a little bit different. And there's a really long hallway to get to the convention center and the main floor and everything.
That's right. Yeah.
So I've just been like walking back and forth in the hallways, just seeing the same faces or new faces. I was actually really surprised. Usually at least at Vegas, it always felt like there was like 60%, 70% old faces and then 30% new. It seemed like 50-50 this year.
Yeah,
there are
maybe
so
more.
many people that had come for the first time. Obviously the allure of the last official Vegas. Obviously Vegas is going nowhere because it's going back to a player meet. So
yeah, I think you're totally right about that. There seems to be a lot of new faces that I haven't seen before, and I think that's great. It shows like a lot of more interest in the game and everything. But you still get caught in hallways, I see. You can't get very far without people saying, Elise.
Yeah. Well, that's my favorite thing to do. So I get to see that a lot of times it's people I see like once, maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
And it's like putting a face to a voice. Because, I mean, we're on Discord and Mumble and TeamSpeak. So you know everyone's like name and their voice, but you have no idea what they look like. So it's really fun to be like, read the little tags of people walking by and be like, I know you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So we roped you into something, right? I went and grabbed you, dragged you into the media room, and we talked informally with PC Gamer's author, Stephen Mesner.
Yeah.
And what was that about? What was that like? Can you say?
So it was really fun. So we were talking about like the Chinese scene for EVE Online and how that's gonna go, and we kind of started rambling towards the end, which is how all the conversations go at EVE Vegas, right? You just start rambling about EVE, just talking about like where it's gonna go. We had Wind Spirits there, who was great. He gave us a lot of really good insight.
Founder of Fraternity.
Yeah. So it's nice that he was able to make it out here. I know Norris really wanted to be out here, but he just couldn't quite make it towards the end.
The timing was wrong.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. So it was neat to see an interview in progress with a famous player like Elise over here. We also did our own interviews where we talked to CCP out on the balcony. We're releasing those one at a time right about now, actually. So check those out. All right, well, let's get into some of the material that's been covered here at EVE Vegas. I want to first bring on somebody who's very familiar to you, but this is going to be like the first time you see him on. Actually, that's not true. He's on camera all the time. So this is Ashtarothi. Come on up, Ashtarothi. Come on down. Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Greetings, fellow Imperians. I am Ashtarothi, and this is EVE Vegas 2019.
All right, don't kill him with the, yeah. So this is Ash Dorothy. He's hanging out with us here in Vegas. He's been having a good time. I think also hanging out with Fonsui, right?
Yeah, me and Fonsui have been spending a lot of time together, hanging out, and other people too. Spend some time with my Ader bros and other people catching up with.
So who are the some of the surprising faces or the people that make you excited to be here? Like any faces or people you wanted to meet or anything like that?
I'm just glad to see what CCP Rise is doing.
Really?
Meeting up with a bunch of the other CCPers, the people that really care about all this and don't want me to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Being able to look them in the eyes and try to suss it out. I had a good chat with CCP Burger.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. Just how accessible everybody is around here.
Yeah.
Meeting a bunch of people. I met up with a few of my contributors, which was really good.
Really
Being able
good,
to spend some time with the people that
Oh yeah, because
really
you're
like the stream.
a famous streamer now. So
I-
yeah.
Tell us about that. What's a favorite streamer?
What?
What is a favorite streamer?
My favorite streamer. I'm not sure.
No, not what your favorite streamer is, but what is that? Is that a status of some sort?
No, I'm a partner now, which is a.
Oh, you're partnered with Twitch.
Yeah, I'm a Twitch partner now.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks to everybody.
This
who
is
watches.
the face of jealousy. How did he do that? Like,
Well, you stream 8 to 10 hours a day.
okay,
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And so you saw some of your followers or patrons or whatever they're called, and you've been hanging out with them and hanging out with some CCPers.
Yeah. We had a great party last night.
Yeah.
We were able to mingle with a lot of people real quickly. Dancing with Burger. Got to watch Permaban.
How was that?
That was awesome. I love Permaban. I love the fact that they still they're here and they're totally dedicated to it, and it just shows how much passion there is for Eve, both from the people who made it or made it, all the way to us that enjoy it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you said something that was very interesting. Of course, you said many things very interesting, but one thing stuck out to me yesterday about this specific Vegas, and that was they buried the lead.
I do. I feel like they buried the lead.
Yeah.
And I think I've done a lot of thinking as to why. But, at the very end, they kind of sneak out there, oh yeah, by the way, this is Invasions Chapter 2. I've never heard an expansion whispered quite like that before. And then at the end of the variety hour of all of the different presentations, they were like, oh yeah, also in the next version, Empires, Triglavians choose a side. And I lost my mind because that's the whole point, right? I want to join the flow of Virage. I want to be glorified.
Really?
So,
You're not going to fight for the Empire?
oh no, triangles all the way.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from everyone, because they've got the Triglavian suit and body armor that you can choose, right? And I've seen so many people wear that in game and be like, I want to be part of the Triglavian menace.
There's a huge thing about, Concords are a real enemy, right? For all we know, the triangles have it right, and that we've just been lied to all this time.
Yeah. So you finally get a chance to fight for the people you study all the time.
That's my hope. I hope that maybe Zoria will tell me a little bit more about
What'd
who
you
they
think?
are.
What did you think about their weaponry? This new dreadnought that's coming out.
It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of people that think it's really overpowered. It's going to be fascinating. The thing that I find the most interesting for me, though, is that it uses, from my understanding, it uses Tech 1 materials, which for a practical would mean that it takes stuff out of the Abyss, which is already under a lot of pressure right now. So we've seen price of things from the Abyss double to triple in the last month, and this is only going to put additional pressure on it. So if you have an Abyssal build that you've been just letting collect dust, it might be time to start running again.
Yeah, it's going to be insanely profitable for a while for the yeah.
Well, they expect these things to be used. They're not going to be, what do they call them, hanger?
Yeah, they're not going to be like
Hang ornaments,
the Revenant or anything like that. They want these kind of out there and blasting away. One of the coolest things, if you guys haven't been able to catch absolutely everything so far, is CCP Rise was mentioning that as they were developing the Dread, they found a weird bug with the Entropic Disintegrator ramp up. It was stacking with the sinks, the damage mods for the Triglavian ships.
Oh, wow.
And so they fixed that, and so now as a result, all the Triglavian ships do a little bit more damage.
Yeah.
Which is
Do
pretty
more?
insane.
Yeah, so
because
basically as it was ramping, it was getting to the point where it was causing stacking penalties against its own entropic radiation sinks. So it's causing it to not be as powerful as it should be. So at maximum ramp with entropic radiation sinks, all of them have been a little bit weaker than they should be, so they're going to get stronger.
Yikes.
And then the reason why is because the dread has like an 800% bonus, and so that like blew out the water.
Wow. They're getting stronger then.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
So-
take your word for it. And
So yeah, all the Triglavian ships, which are already super dominant, and,
Yeah, exactly. It's
like powerful, they're getting like 5 or 10% more powerful.
But
So.
only if they've ramped.
Yeah, only at the high end. But
Wow.
that was one of my favorite things. They're like, yeah, when we were making this, we realized we broke stuff, and so we fixed it. And it's very reminiscent of like 8 or 9 years ago. They were fixing heavy missiles. They were working with something because it was lagging the server out.
Yeah.
And when they fixed it, the JITA node got really like fixed. Like the lag went away and everything like that.
Oh,
They're like,
wow.
yeah, we have no idea what happened, but we fixed JITA. So good times.
Yeah, I was talking to CSP Antiquarian. Apparently, they also learned a lot about like their effect system and how special effects are rendered in the client through doing the dread too. So every time they build something new like this, they learn more about their own system. I think.
It's,
okay, I'm sorry. I was distracted by RVB just flew by. Okay, I was on a delay, so I didn't realize it. But yeah. Well, that's great. Anything else that like? What's it like hanging out with Fonsui? You guys work together pretty closely in the game.
The
Like-
dude's a trip, man. He's a great kid. He cares so much about this game. It's been fun because like I've gotten to see a lot of these CCPers in previous events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He is not. This is his first time.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of following along, and like we'll meet up a CCP guy, and he'll just like lose his mind. And
Yeah.
It's good to see that passion for somebody who's put so much time
Yeah.
into making things for the community and such.
Yeah, he does a lot of work. Yeah. So it's good to see you here, Ashtrathi. This is not your first rodeo. You've been
No.
here before.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, I was here in 2015.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
That's when we met. Well, cool. Thanks for coming up, and we will see you for. I guess today's going to be a big day too, because what's happening today? This is going to be the bots and economic talk, or
Yeah.
bots and data, bots
which
and
I'm
data.
super pumped for. Like
Yeah.
I talked to CSP Larkin about this yesterday. Like Larkin came on as a developer, as a designer, just like a lot of the others.
Yeah, Larkin. Yep.
And then when Quant left the company, he handed over a lot of his stuff to Larkin, and
He gave him all his stuff.
yeah, well, all of his data tools, all of the analytics and the charts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so now, like, he's become a full-fledged data scientist, which I think is really cool. And I talked to him about it. That transitions. I'm really I'm pleased to see CCPers kind of find their home.
Wild. He's skilled up.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is happening today. Your talk.
I am giving a presentation. It is. It's not going to be streamed live because.
What?
Yeah, it's going to be at the same time as the Friendship Machine with CCP Ghost.
But it will get recorded.
But it will get recorded.
Okay.
And it's about the history of Eve. Put a little different spin on it. So I'm
taking
just
your
going back and looking at the different ships that you would fly at like any given year in EVE Online. So the things that were super dominant, and coming here right now, I just realized I had a little prop. I had a little tiny Drake. Because
really?
obviously the Drake's going to play an important role in the talk.
Yeah.
It's never been used.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a strange ship, because I remember it as like a PvP tank ship. Like,
Yeah.
That's the era I came in. You can almost tell a player when they started by the condition of the Drake. I came in when it was a fleet ship, or I came in when it was a PvE ship, or I came in when it was just completely out of favor. But
But today is really dense with presentations,
Right.
both dev presentations and player presentations. So
Yeah.
and of course roundtables and stuff like that. So
Yeah, well, what I've noticed about this eVegas, it just seems to be really dense with like things that you actually want to go and like,
Yeah.
listen to and stuff.
yeah, it felt like last Vegas and the one before that, it felt like there were like a lot more player presentations, a lot more presentations just to begin with.
Yeah.
But they've really like concentrated it down to quite, as you were saying, quite a dense package.
Yeah.
I think it has something to do with how many devs are here. They said that there's more
40
CCP
here.
devs here than ever before.
Like
So
38 or
they've
40,
got
right?
so
Yeah.
many different people that are there to talk about what they're doing.
Yeah. I also think it's eVegas, but they also have Eve Echoes, which we'll talk about in a little bit in a moment. But I do want to switch over to Noisy Gamer. Can you hand that to him?
Yeah, I can.
We'll welcome Noisy Gamer. He's somebody who's a veteran of eVegas, come many times. I met him a few years ago, and I didn't know who he was, and I sat down to lunch with him with Minxie. And, you know, when I sit down at a table, I start talking. And so I was talking about this and that, and I started talking about Russians, and then some guy across from me started talking about Russians too, and he knew more than me by far. And I thought, well, I better step up my game. So I started talking more about history and Russians, and he stepped up his game. And next thing I know, I felt completely outclassed. And so we file out of the booth, and Minxie says, Matterall, meet Noisy Gamer. And I thought, well, that explains it. I was talking to Noisy Gamer about Russians and RMT and stuff like that. And not that they go together. Disclaimer.
Yeah, gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, but Noisy Gamer, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Is this okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So, any highlights for you?
Okay, so just a general highlight. This has probably been the convention I've gone to with the most content or most presentations I want to see since FanFest 2015.
Wow, last 3 years.
In 2016, CCP started, I think CCP saw eVegas, and they wanted to make FanFest more like eVegas, which has less of a concentration on presentations, and it's nice to see. That CCP's got all the presentations. They're actually telling us a lot of things, which I was kind of wary about.
Let me help you just with that. There you go.
This is good. Okay, I'll try this. But yeah, so it's like I was a little wary about how much information they were going to give us. So far, so good. So that's just the general.
Yeah.
Highlights, or what I'm...
Even behind the scenes stuff, like do you run into somebody you wanted to see or?
Well, I've been sick.
Oh.
And I've had surgery. The last couple nights, I've just stayed in my room. I haven't been going around or anything like that. I got new medicine on Tuesday. It's been kicking my butt.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been like getting lots of sleep the last couple nights. So I'm maybe in the best shape of anybody here because I think everybody else was out drinking.
Yeah.
So
Definitely him.
Yeah. That's why my voice is a little bit gone because we changed venues this year, as we were saying, and the new nightclub that they hold the Big E party at, there are no little quiet corners like there used to be. So there was a lot of shouting, so my voice is gone.
So
Yeah.
that's not karaoke that's causing the voice?
No. If only. They wouldn't let me do too much Taylor Swift, so.
Oh, okay, yeah. You just
That's
can't
all
do
I know,
that,
yeah.
So, but yeah, so
Yeah.
for the content so far.
So you've been taking it easy, but you've been looking at the content. I love what you do here because you treat it like a convention, which inspires me to sit down and take notes and make sure that you're understanding what they're saying so you can put it out in your blog.
And I haven't like written that much because I keep trying to write in the morning, and there's been so much. Like the keynote had so much in it,
Yeah.
despite what the Reddit what the subreddit says. Right?
Yeah.
There was a lot. I'm still going through it and everything. Hopefully, I'll have something out Monday. But yeah, it was like there was a lot of stuff. Rise's presentation yesterday filled in a lot. I've got questions on whether if a bi-weekly release schedule is going to bring a lot of players in, because traditionally it's been big expansions. However, as Ash said, they buried the lead with Invasion Chapter 2, which is going to be the invasion, which is going to be the new content, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Are you picking a side?
Minmatar.
Oh, fighting for the Empire.
Minmatar all the way. I
You
mean,
can kill Ashtarothi.
I mean, it's like I've most of my characters are Minmatar.
Yeah.
I live in Minmatar's space, and I don't care if the Amar call it like lower something or higher something. That Amar can just go like
Take a hike.
they can-
Take a hike, Amar.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Just they can take a hike. They can like take their nap and go away.
So you've always been pure Minmatar.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I trained up Minmatar first. It's been Minmatar and then Ore ships. And then I got into Sisters of Eve ships. If you go into Signal Cartel, you're going to wind up.
Which is your corporation? Yeah.
I was with Minxie's and Jenny's group for a year and a half.
Okay.
Then I
Solo now?
Yeah, because it's like when I go mining, I have my procurer out there.
Yeah.
Then I have a ship that's cloaked, and so if somebody comes around, I can shoot them. Well, that's not really compliant with Signal Cartel's rules and values. So it was like if I wanted to go out and mine in Losec, the way that I like to mine in Losec, I really couldn't be a member of Signal Cartel.
So you're too aggressive for Signal Cartel. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, and I haven't killed a ship outside of a botter. In Uli. I have not had a real kill mail since 2011.
Oh wow. So, but you go after botters though.
Well.
Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't even go after the botters. I don't try to kill botters. I've reported them a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's like killing them.
Yeah.
But it's always a fun event when they transport the botters to Uli, so everyone can just like get a piece of the
And
action.
I was working from home one day, and I was able to race out there. It's a lot more fun doing that than like just camping a station and reporting all the distribution bots that come through. It's a lot more fun shooting a Titan.
Yeah, we just make sure. Yeah, you have soft voice. We all have like day 3 voices, so it's. But what would you say was one of the more interesting topics they've been hitting?
Okay, so if you go with you got your EVE Online, which is I think I've talked a little bit about it. Nash did.
Yeah.
And then if you go from a business perspective. I would say EVE Echoes is probably the biggest news coming out of this convention.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
Because it's okay. So they announced that they're going to be going into beta, I believe, in December. And so it's like I went to the presentation just to let everybody know these people that that they brought out to talk to us. You can't tell them apart from EVE nerds. You just can't. They look like EVE nerds, except for the marketing person, of course.
Yeah.
She was nicely dressed, but but yeah, it's like you got one of the guys who's been playing for 15 years. He's playing on they call it the worldwide server.
Yeah.
There's another guy who plays on Serenity. And so like they've got like one guy with 15 years, one guy with I don't know. I think he has.
But long
10.
time EVE players, right?
Yeah.
Are building
It was like the two that had the shortest amount of time were 3 years.
Wow. Yeah.
So the people that are making EVE Echoes are not like just thrown in. It's not like CCP programmers who don't know how to fit ships.
Yeah.
And as we learned yesterday.
Yeah, they don't fit very well.
Rai said that they don't know how to do it, and then in the following presentation, was it Wonder Boy? Came up and said, "Yeah, I don't know how to fit ships. I was horrible. I wish I could have this." Some of the stuff that's coming up.
So you're big into data, and bots is something that you cover very well on your blog. But this next presentation that's coming up today, like, what are you hoping to hear, or what are you expecting to hear?
Okay, so. One, I want to hear about the economy. Two, okay, so CCP Berger made a statement about that the blackout did not affect PvP at all. I don't believe that. However, I can think of 3 explanations for why CCP Berger would say that, right? So it's not that Berger is. I'm thinking that he's lying or anything. I'm just wondering what their logic is. It's sort of like when you were in 3rd grade and you had math problems, and the teacher said, "Show your work."
Yeah.
I'm hoping that.
Don't take me back there, but yeah.
So I'm hoping that Larrikin is gonna, in his presentations, he's gonna show the work and show all the really cool back end stuff that all the data nerds would like.
Right. So you're looking to see like how they see the data.
Yeah.
And you're expecting to see a little more of that in this presentation.
Yeah, it's like how are they viewing the data as opposed to how I view the data, because they have a lot more data to look at.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's like I've got like Dotland data, I've got the monthly economic report. I don't even try figuring out Z-Kill board data. It's just too complex for me at this point.
Yeah, it can be quite dense and very hard to get through. Yeah.
And then I know that it doesn't have all the data there because some of my kill mails are not out there because I have mine on private.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
there's still a bunch of people that don't want to put their API into Zkill, and they don't frantically put in their kill mailings, which is what I did for the longest time. Like I was like, every time I got a kill, I was like, oh, let me get the kill mail and the link and put it on there real quick so everyone knows that I'm a cool dude. And
Yeah,
I kill a lot
everybody
of
used to
ships.
do that, right? It's like post your kill mails. That was a
yeah.
thing. That happened.
And like I said, I have not killed anybody in the game since I killed some NC guy who tried to gank me in a low sec belt back in 2011.
Oh, he deserved it.
Yeah, he definitely
Those
deserved
NC
it.
guys.
Especially since I didn't have tackle fit on my procure.
Yeah.
And you know how I killed him? He tackled himself in the belt. He couldn't get away from the asteroids.
So there's actually that happens.
Expert
quite a
pilot.
lot.
It wasn't me. It was expert piloting from NC.
Yeah, that happens quite a lot. There was a guy, his name was Evil Edna, and he was like a huge high-end PvPer back in the day. And he fit up a crow. They called it the Teamwork Crow, so they put like every single best module that they had in the game on this crow, and he would go out and kill people. And the way it died is, because it was otherwise like unkillable, is he was orbiting someone and just hit an asteroid and bumped. And all of the missiles just that he was like speed tanking just all hit at once. And he exploded to like this guy who had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah, asteroid says no.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You cannot pass.
Yeah, so you know how like people think that people that mine don't know how to like really pilot and stuff?
Yeah.
I was actually in the middle of an asteroid belt. I had figured out a path so I could like warp out if needed.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the middle of this thing, and this guy in a thrasher comes in. Mm-hmm. He tackled himself.
Oh, well, pity for him. Well, thanks, Noisy. Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you're having a good time at this convention. I agree with all the stuff that you said about, like, you know, how it's dense and stuff. So, yeah, thanks for coming by.
And okay, I see her.
So yeah, next we have Who's a Fish. She's actually new to the EVE community. She spends a lot of her. How's it going, first of all?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. That's Lisa over there.
Surviving. It was
yeah.
a long night. It was really fun. Permaband was awesome.
Right. So actually, your boyfriend. Sorry, can I do that? Your boyfriend plays EVE Online, so you're aware of it. You've been playing mobile games that are like EVE Online, and you've switched over to concentrating on EVE Echoes, and you've been paying attention to it, right?
Yeah, I actually do think there's this whole lifeline of players that have been kind of disappointed in the mobile gaming sector. I think not a lot of developers are making mobile games a long-term investment. They're kind of turn and burn. And so you have a bunch of these communities of people who are really interested in these games, that are investing their time building these teams and building these small communities. Mm-hmm. And I consider what it would be to be almost like game refugees. We've kind of gathered a big group. I'd like to give a little shout out to OBS. You know, one of my guys, Kaizen's been doing great at helping recruit players and getting people like more interested. And I also actually wanted to take a little bit of time to thank some of the positive EVE vets that we've met that have been very welcoming into the community, because that's what it's all about for us. Is we just want to find a like-minded community to be able to share this experience with. And I really experiencing eVegas for the first time has been incredible. So it's just been.
I know you've had a good time. I've watched you running around with this big smile on your face.
It's ironic because my boyfriend's been, you know, an EVE Online player for a while, and he's just never made it out to any events. He's always been more of a solo player. Yeah. And him seeing me get so involved in the community has made him more interested in it. And even our guys who have been playing Echoes are actually right now playing EVE Online so that they can prepare for EVE Echoes.
Well, that's one of the dreams, right? Like
it's always like super infectious. Like when you mentioned like veteran players are really happy about it. I see that all the time, especially like with new communities coming to the game. They just they get excited sharing their passion and seeing new people come in. They're like, oh, this is great. So you see a lot of like older players interacting with like especially new player groups in EVE Online. You recently saw like NNC.Corp move over to Pandemic Horde just because it's just infectious to spread that joy.
Yeah.
We actually, when Echoes did their battle against the devs, I met a bunch of New Zealand players, one in particular that stood out to me, Spool Liger. He was from Trimark Industries, but he's been playing EVE for a while. and their kind of group was playing the game. And I just remember they were showing Fleet Command. I think we had about 70 people, and everyone was divided up into teams of 10, and I was just lost, but I was just kind of trying to find my place in there. But it was really cool to see some vets just take initiative and kind of mentor the noobs and being like, come here, we're going to teach you how to play, we're going to kind of show you the ropes. And I'm really excited to see some more EVE vets come into Echoes and maybe help continue to facilitate that.
So for those that haven't had a chance to tinker with EVE Echoes, obviously if you're here, you can go and check it out, but a lot of people haven't. What's it like? Like, how do you play it? What do you do?
I mean, I think it's mind-blowing. I think the graphics, for one, are incredible. There's definitely a lot of features that are still going to be added in, but as I've heard when EVE Online started, there was a lot of features that weren't all included, and they've kind of been refining it. Rax had a great presentation on it. There's a lot that they're going to be adding in, but the experience is, from what vets have told me, they really enjoyed the UI. It was delivering that same EVE experience.
Gotcha.
And I think a lot of people just giving it a chance to see and try it, they might be really surprised at finding that they really enjoy it.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, for mobile games, it felt like there's so much churn and burn to just get that quick buck.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see like a more established game going on. And there is a huge community out there for mobile games. I don't want to out myself as a Pokemon Go player, but I'm a Pokemon Go player. And when there's like a community day, like near the mall and stuff, there's like thousands of people out just like on their phones playing these games, interacting with each other, bumping elbows. So if EVE Echoes can capture like part of that, that would be neat. And obviously, if they can even come into EVE Online, that would be even better.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a huge opportunity, and mobile gamers are kind of shoved off to the side because people don't really think that they can have these rich experiences and worlds, but I really do believe that it is possible. I think that CCP working with NetEase is kind of like an alliance, and NetEase, yeah, they do have a team that have been playing the game, so it's not just people who are kind of coming in and taking a license. It's people who are really passionate about the game, and that's what's so exciting is we want a game that's for gamers by gamers, and who are going to understand that we don't want pay to win. And actually, at Rex's presentation, he said that they don't want pay to win. They know the community doesn't want that, and that's a huge issue with mobile games.
Yeah, that's kind of like the thing that they have on the, like the word on the street is like, oh, their mobile games are all pay to win. But
Yeah.
EVE Echoes is definitely not fitting that mold.
So I think also it's a part of the part of it is going to be the community having that attitude of we don't want this pay to win. We let them know, and NetEase has made it very clear that they're here because they want to hear our ideas and they want to know what they can do to make this game give that same rich experience like EVE Online has been doing for years.
So it's not like your standard cookie cutout game that they put an EVE skin on top of. I think they made it clear that it's like from the ground up, a global server. It's you know, it's EVE, but it's on a mobile device, which gives you more options to play. Like when you're have some spare time in between two things that you're doing, you don't have to sit at your desktop to play it. But these games are not connected. They're just two different parallel worlds, but it's the same kind of flavoring.
Yeah.
That's the way I've understood it.
I've definitely heard a lot of interest in perhaps one day bringing these worlds together, but right now they're keeping everything separate.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually a better idea just because it gives you know, new players a chance to build their own new world and kind of see how that structures.
Yeah.
And it might not have the same exact story as EVE Online, but it's going to be a new story, and that's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of a different story behind that universe.
So this is great. So you dove right in. You came right to EVE Vegas.
Yep, dove right in.
And you like it?
I love it. I honestly think the community is just like infectious. It's just seeing Permaban yesterday, seeing everyone be so excited, and just seeing really supportive people.
Yeah.
You know, because when we had this mobile game thing happen and the update really disappointed the community, everyone's like, where do we go?
Yeah.
A lot of people, you know, tried to go into other games. We tried WoW, and I just like wasn't thrilled with the community.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the EVE Online community out there, and I think when more people know about it, and that's something that maybe mobile games can do, is let more people know about how incredible the community is. I think it's going to just continuously flood in some new players.
Yeah. It's funny. It reminds me of when EVE Online started, you had refugees from other games come into EVE Online because it was the bigger, better version of what they were doing, like
Like Earth and
Homeworld,
Beyond.
Earth and Beyond.
Exactly, yeah. That's how I first got into EVE Online. It's because Earthing Beyond Clothes, and they sent me this email. They were like, "Hey, you want to check out EVE Online?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, might as well."
Why not?
And even when Dust was around, like on the PlayStation, there were people even in my alliance and my corp that joined just
Because of Dust.
They were playing Dust.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, I was playing the shooter, and I realized it's about some inclusive world with EVE Online spaceships. Let me check this out." So,
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I knew a few people. One of my good friends, so good, I'm blanking on his name. It's Stargazer, Tiberius Stargazer. There's a few Stargazers, but
Yeah.
Tiberius Stargazer was my friend, coming from Dust. So yeah, it was interesting. Well, great. I'm glad you're having a good time. I saw you dancing. You pulled the NetEase people out to dance with you. That was funny.
Yeah, we just wanted to, make sure that they got to be included too.
Yeah.
Just really love what CCP is doing, and then just wanted to also, give them a shout out and let them know we appreciate what they're doing, and really like that they're getting more involved.
All right.
That gives us good hope.
Well, thank you very much. Here's a fish. Nice
Thank
to
you.
see you here in person.
Nice to meet you guys, and
Yeah.
nice to continue watching the community grow.
All right, awesome. Thanks. All right, next we have a special guest for you. I don't know if this might be the first appearance, so you were going to see for the first time Katya Sia, who, how do you say this? Because it's astro, it's not naval, so you circumvented the galaxy.
And good morning.
Yeah. And now you're here. All your travels have led you to this
It
moment.
led me to this moment, absolutely. and outside of my comfort zone by a big shot, so
Yeah.
I'm very nervous.
We know you're
and,
shy, but we dragged you on.
dragged me on. But yeah, in my mind, I've always heard it as Katya say, although I've caught myself all weekend saying Katya say.
Yeah.
Because I've heard people say that to me, and yeah, so either way is fine with me. Yeah.
it's really funny. There's like this really fun energy just surrounding you somehow. We met at EVE Toronto, or EVE North in Toronto for the first time, and I got to see like there's this little buzz where it kind of feels like EVE Rockstar status a little bit, where everyone's just gets really excited no matter what line of the game they're from, right?
Yep.
So they're like the most hardened PvPers are like, "Oh, this guy."
It's
he's here, this is
been very
amazing."
strange, yes.
Yeah.
Some of the folks that have come up and said, "I'm actually a fan of yours," and I'm like going, "What do you mean? I'm a fan of yours." So, yeah, it's just been cool. It's been really great.
It's Katya, everybody. Like, if you haven't gotten that yet. So we talked to you already about your trip and how
Right.
precarious it was and how you managed to outsmart or evade people who were hunting you, and sometimes they got pretty precarious. Right?
They got passionate about, coming after me, for sure.
Nice way to put it. They were determined.
Determined, yeah.
You still
absolutely.
managed to slip them.
Yeah, lots of luck, lots
Yeah.
of planning, and known space. Of course, you have tools available to you to find out, what area you're in and all that stuff. So you can do intelligence. You just have to take time, and that's the thing. How patient are people
Right.
actually willing to do that?
Well, one thing I wanted to tell you, and if we had a trophy, I would have it here. So maybe I should try to find it. But I was talking to CCP, and I called him CCP Master of Puppets. But it turns out that's a Metallica song, and I was thinking of the wrong thing. But it's CCP Muppet Hunter, who I believe he is the game developer lead. And he was fascinating. We were talking about player versus player isn't just when the lasers shoot. It's not pew, pew, pew all the time. It's actually when you're thinking about other players and you're thinking about what they're doing so you can compensate what you're doing. And that is PvP. It's a consideration of your dangers and how to evade them. And so probably, for me, without a doubt, the greatest PvP player of EVE Online is right here with us, Katya.
Even I would argue that. I know there are plenty that disagree, I'm sure, but
I don't
it's
know.
an interesting perspective.
People ask to look at my kill board, and they're like, "Well, you only have a few kills." And I think, "Yeah, but look at how many deaths I have. It's so few."
Yeah. I'm super efficient at not
Super
dying.
efficient.
Totally,
right.
I'm super efficient. I am not killed often, and when I am, I get super mad and embarrass myself. So, but yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And I know we're joking about it, but player versus player can be so much more than just the head-on collisions of players and ships where things go and get blown up, which is actually where I take kind of like a separate road from people who say, we just want to see more things blowing up. And I'm thinking like, well, I want to see more opportunities to escape. I want to see more opportunities to sneak up on somebody, or these sorts of things that are also PvP.
Right.
That's part of what makes like that one kill super valuable, right? It's because you know how much it's worth, you know how much effort went into it. You have to hunt for it, you know, like so. Especially like in the very early days of Eve, it was all about like getting someone in a situation where they can die. And that's why you get it. So that's why you see people roaming around for hours going after these kills, because you know how fleeting it can be sometimes.
Well, that's a very interesting point, and that might be the separation between small gang stuff, because you're a little wolf pack kind of hunting, so you are having to put in some work, as opposed to when it feels very arranged. Like, okay, everybody, it's time to get in, show up, we'll get you there. Okay, we're all here. It's going to happen. And then it happens. It's like, okay, we just kind of showed up and we traded some shots at each other.
But that has a whole new level of like trying to outsmart and outsmart your opponent and trying to bait them into a situation where they don't just warp off and leave, right?
Yeah.
So,
but that's at the fleet commander level.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that is like amazing stuff to get all those people and unified and moving at the same time and stuff like that. But from like an F1 pusher perspective, it's kind of like, okay, I got my spear, I'm marching behind the 40 guys in front of me, okay? I'm in formation. You just have to do your part. But when you're hunting around for something, it might feel a little more delicious to be like, yeah, that paid off, all that, kind of work that we did. So that's pretty interesting. Not to take anything away from all your fleet commanding, at least. I don't want to diminish it. Well, anyway, so you've been interviewed several times. What's that been like?
I have been. It's a totally different experience on coming to something like this. It's hard to describe. It was Steve Mesner yesterday with PC Gamer was talking to me and interviewing me, and there was a point that it kind of got a little emotional, telling the story and all. It's rather surreal.
Yeah. And that's great. Did you have? Do you have any highlights from this Vegas? Like this is your first one?
Actually, Toronto was my first one back in June. No, that's cool. This is my first Vegas, but my second Fan Fest. And to me, it's just really seeing the passion. You don't get a sense of it, And huge shout out to Streamfleet guys. I mean, they work hard.
Yeah.
But they're all smiling, believe it or not.
They're working hard now.
And it's a sense you really don't get on camera. You don't get to see it on the screen at all when you're watching it from home, right? But meeting people here, meeting my fellow players, meeting the devs, you really do get to feel and sense from their body language and how they're talking and describing the passion that they have for this game. I know a lot of folks think the devs must hate us, right? And so, but they don't. I mean,
the gods hate us.
Yeah, right, exactly. But you come to one of these,
sacrifice more sheep.
And you can just see it in them. I mean, every single one that I've met has just been just passionate about what they do.
That's kind of like what's special about eVegas, or what sets it apart from all the other, like from FanFest and Reykjavik and some of the other events. It feels like half of the event is not the presentations, not anything. It's just running into people and talking to them and just like sharing fun experiences about Eve, seeing a dev in the hallway and like pulling them aside. That's always been what separates Eve Vegas and like makes it special. So
yeah, it's been great. It's been a blast.
Yeah, well, terrific. It's really good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you guys.
I see somebody walking by that I'm going to pull in right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll get him here in a second. But it's really nice to meet you. I've had a really nice time talking to you and your lovely wife that you brought.
Yep, thank you.
And
she's
she having a good time too?
I think so.
Yeah, we're having a really nice time in the hallways, talking and catching up on some of the stuff that we have seen.
She made the comment that it's interesting to see me in a different environment because I'm much more lively here than I am anywhere else. Like if I go to one of her parties, I'm the quiet guy in the corner.
Yeah. Well, you're in your element, man.
I'm in my element here.
And you're a celebrity here, so that's awesome.
But yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, so next we have another special treat. We're full of special treats today. You have seen him before on Talking in Stations. But he was on camera remote. So this time we'll see him in real life. And this is the founder of Fraternity, Wind Spirits. And he's coming on in just a second. Hey, how are you doing?
Yes. Hey, how's it going?
So Wind Spirits, how are you doing? How's this Eve Vegas been for you?
Well, I didn't exactly participate. Sorry, I didn't exactly participate in any event. I bring my family around to see shows and stuff. But it's good to get to meet you.
But
guys.
you've made some time to come over and
yeah,
talk
definitely.
with people.
Next time you'll be Eve San Diego.
Next year will be
Next
Eve
year.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Let me
It's a little bit
bring this down
closer.
to no, just bring it down to there.
Right here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, like that's what I was saying. Like, it feels like a lot of eVegas is just like meeting people, hanging around at the convention, and just
This is the last one. So
yeah.
Last one in Vegas, yes. Next one is in San Diego, but they're going to have Fan Fest in the spring before that. I don't know when Eve Moscow is, but yeah, so it's going to be, I think there's some talk, I think it came from the stage that Eve San Diego will actually not be in October like now. It'll actually happen like in September, I think.
Oh, wow,
So,
okay.
yeah, look out for that. But about you, so you're the founder of Fraternity, and have you been coming here and making any deals with anybody? I love to think
Vegas?
That, yeah, in Vegas.
This is my second time here,
Yeah.
and I love to make some deals, but right now I don't exactly run Fraternity. I wish I have more time to play the game.
Yeah.
So I think maybe 3-4 years ago, if I make it here, I will make some big decision for the Alliance. But nowadays, I can only play maybe intensively for a month or two, and I have to go. So I don't want to be in a position to make the big decisions and not able to. You know.
That transition's really hard to make.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
'Cause-
yeah. Eve is really demanding game.
Yeah.
So
And
really-
like when you're at the level that when you were like at your peak, like trying to just put your toe back in the pool, it doesn't work. You want to jump all the way in again. So.
I think the most intensive moment I had back then was back when I founded Fraternity back in 2013. And back then I think I run 10 accounts at the same time, 4 Titans across the board, and then I just bridge you guys around.
Yeah.
So in Chinese time zone, I basically all the NC, PL, and back then was Nelly. You guys
Yeah.
are just waiting in station and then waiting for me to get on my Titan, and then I'll sign you guys somewhere to just start.
Yeah, I remember
So-
that like very well. Yeah.
So a lot of the FC.
How long ago was that?
That was back in BTEC-R age.
Yeah.
What was the name of that war?
The Halloween.
Halloween War. Yeah.
No wonder Larrikin was like, hey, it's because I was like, this is CCP Larrikin, and he's like, well, you know me as Dark Razor.
Yeah, yeah, because the Australian time zones and the Chinese time zone kind of like sync up pretty well. So
Yeah, he's Australian,
Yeah.
so that makes a lot of sense.
Not many Aussies left in this game. Well, they are playing some other games and kind of go into hibernation now.
yeah, or they get poached to work at CCP.
Yeah, the good ones get taken. But yeah, so this is not your first Vegas. You were here last year, I believe,
Yeah.
was it? Yeah, I remember seeing you and Noros together.
Yes. He's not willing to come here this time. I'm not sure why.
How does that work, though, that you were the founder of Fraternity, but you said, like, I can't play the game enough to be the leader of it, so you hand it off to somebody else? How's that work?
This is not the first time. Fraternity had been run by the decision maker had been switched. I think same with PL.
Yeah.
It used to be Sadu, and then before that, who was the guy who was
Seamus.
Seamus, who was the founder of Snuggadeer, right? So Fraternity had been handed over to different leaders, maybe 4 or 5 times. I'm kind of the beginner, and then I came in between, and then it was kind of exchange between me and Norris.
And they always respect you and hand it back to you?
No. Well,
How does that work? How do you get it back? This is EVE Online. Like, why don't they say, I think I'll keep it?
good question, but well,
It just always does.
Well, at least for me, I'm not those power hungry kind of type of leader.
Yeah.
So when I lead the alliance, I want to be able to provide my members with valuable PvP contents. And when I see that I'm not able to, and I don't have the time to do that, then I simply hand that to someone else. Even if that person might not be doing as good of a job as I did, but he's actively playing and I'm not. So it's not fair for me to make decision in their stead. And there's been some up and downs with Fraternity, and I respect whoever make the decision and carry that out, because that's an experience I think is a little bit selfish if I just hold on to it and not let anyone else try.
Yeah,
Because
there's a
fun.
very long list
Yeah.
of dead alliances where people in charge just want to stay in power a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And the problem is, like, if you stay in power for too long, then the guys that might replace you, they're like, we want to go somewhere else now because I've hit a cap, so I'll
And
never
that's
go
the big
again.
issue with the game right now is these people, they don't leave for another alliance, they leave for another game.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
what I
interesting.
see right now is the big problem. I talked to one of the dev the other day is about the keep start. To me, as a leader, okay, it acts like a honey trap, which players go in, they get all their big toys and stuff and that. And it's not like back then. Most of your asset are liquid asset, right? Cash, right?
Yeah.
When you don't like the play style of certain people, you just go somewhere else and find someone else who you enjoy playing with more. But nowadays, the keep start, you have all the. It's like you have
Oh,
your
interesting.
entire family there, right?
Yeah.
So the cost of moving the stuff is much higher, and sometimes the leader see your Titan jumping out, they will try to say, "What are you doing?" And,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
That's the last thing you're moving out.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So people tend to say, well, if you are not making the game fun for me, then I'll just go play other game. And I think this is
This is very interesting. It's kind of
Really?
like Winnie the Pooh, right? Like you come in and you're kind of thin, but all that honey trap goodness gets you too big to really want to leave.
Kind of reduce the player life cycle. So used to EVE Online, you can experience a lot of different things and choices. Now you just accelerate the process with skill implant, with all the ways where you can make it really fast. You get to those big toys really quickly, and then usually the leaders does not provide entertainment.
Yeah.
They do not, bring your Titan out for a tour very often. So you're stuck there, you're bored. You respect your leader still, but you don't want to betray them or jump onto another wagon. So
We
they
saw
just
like
go and
that
play other games.
that fast like armament happen with the Army of Mango, right? An alliance that's six months old, and they had already a super fleet going out, like
Already.
6-month-old characters and super fleets. It's
So Chinese players have kind of come in relatively, they've always been around, but they've kind of come in the last year or two since we talked, right? When we talked, it was when a lot of
4
people were
years
talking
ago
about
was when they stopped updating Serenity and people start to come to Tranquility. 4 years ago, yeah, about 2015.
I've been
2016.
hearing that Chinese players are the future. What do you think about that?
The future of what?
The future of geopolitical. I mean, you must be getting a lot of people saying, like, please be our friends.
yeah.
To be honest,
We
that's
don't want to
not a
upset you.
future that sounds exciting. I see Chinese players. I respect their play style, but it's a little bit passive. I think their real life, they get a lot more real life. What I call their life is more rough and busy and intensive. So in game, they like to chill more. They play passively. They don't really spend a lot of time thinking of how to conquer this and that. So I think that kind of also maybe people blame RMT and botting for destroying Serenity, but I think one of the biggest issue is this kind of passive game type style. You don't want to challenge. So when someone, kind of conquer everyone, then everyone just say, okay, that's it then.
Yeah,
We're
we
just gonna
saw
stay put.
we saw like a different type of culture, like a clash happen, especially with the Russians in EVE Online, right? So the Russians are like a very close-knit community. They're all in like a handful of alliances, and like the Western alliances, they didn't really know what was going on with the Russians. So it's easy to say, oh, you guys are doing this. We have no idea what's going on here. And I see a lot of the similarities with the way the Western alliances interact with the Chinese alliances. They just don't get the different culture of how they play games, right? So.
So I started a fraternity to show the Chinese players how the game can be played differently and how some of the things that might seem impossible to achieve can be achievable if you just put in the time and effort and tactics to do it. It's not always when you see a bigger, super cap fleet, you're done. You can always work around it and try different things. So
And how do they take to it? Like,
at the beginning, I think they are very, very scared of losing the very limited amount of things they have, basically. So, but nowadays, I don't know. There's several new leaders now. They have snowballed the population into a force that they can make their own decision. I just hope that they can make the game exciting for the Chinese players, because many of the Chinese players they don't speak English, right? I remember one of the story I keep telling them is that back then there was this Chinese guy who really enjoy PvP, but not able to understand English. So he joined PL and was on a pause, trying to breach into the battlefield, but he keep bumping the Titan, and the FC thought he's a spy. They
Yeah.
wanted to bump him out, but he doesn't understand anything on comms.
Yeah.
Besides jumping, and so he got kicked out, and that's very innocent. So I started fraternity, so player who don't speak English can enjoy more content. They can try different things. They can FCN. So I hope today's leader, Chinese leader, they can offer player with more variety of experience, not just stuck in the corner space and fight internally among themselves.
Yeah.
That's
Well-
something that I don't want to see.
Well, you guys have been like the kind of the only hot war going on for quite a while between Winterco and Legacy, and I know a lot of the guys I was talking to from Winter, they're having a lot of fun, or they were having a lot of fun with Elo. So Elo would like show up to the fleets and show them like a different different play style.
Yeah,
and they're
not just
all
Elo,
Indians.
but all the, I would say, non-Chinese player, especially in US time zone, Europe time zone, that join us. I really give those guys a big thumbs up because they are, we do not have super cat umbrella for them to rat or to make is with, and they're willing to join to experience and not just go into any other existing super umbrella and just make is and stuff. I think they have been really had a hard time over the past 6-7 months, but I hope more players, US players and Europe, EU players are willing to go outside and do more challenging things instead of just staying put with the bigger alliance, and which I think is not providing enough content to the player base of today's EVE. And I really appreciate Legacy, especially that they are willing to they are actually one of the entities that have been fighting a lot, and when they end a war, they immediately try to kind of transition themselves into another war. And they are a group that if I am living in US long term, maybe I will join them and fight with them.
wow,
Because
nice.
they're exciting to be with. And
Wow.
I hope other groups are willing to do the same and make EVE and more exciting experience for
You heard it here. The founder of Fraternity, if he lived here, would be in Test Alliance because they're resilient and they're fighting
who knows?
back, and that's nice.
Yeah,
to-
maybe I'll fight with Legacy one day. Who knows?
Who knows? That's right. You guys have a lot of options.
Yes,
Have a lot of,
exactly.
very exciting.
Exactly.
Well, this is the kind of thing that you would hear at EVE Vegas. Two guys that are like blockbuster names in EVE Online talking about strategy and stuff. And so I want to thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it.
All right, I have to get my baby some pancakes now.
That's right.
So.
You gotta
All right, thank you.
do the right
Thank you.
thing.
Take
man.
it easy, man.
All right.
All right, it's good to see you. Win spirits.
See you guys.
All right, so next we have up someone from Streamfleet that I want to introduce you to because he's the next Matterall. And it couldn't happen soon enough, but no, this is Six.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Nice to meet you in person.
Nice to
finally.
meet you.
Apparently, we sound the same.
Yes. So the joke is that we actually sound
Two
the same
Matteralls.
on air. We have the same very soothing voice, I like to think.
So I've been told.
Yeah. That's awesome. Tell us about your streams. You're a streamer, right?
I am a streamer, yeah. I'm actually kind of a new player to EVE as well.
Oh.
Somewhat. I've been playing EVE for about a year and a half or so. And I started playing EVE the same day I started streaming.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I learned how to play EVE.
Really?
Yeah.
On stream in front of everybody?
In front of everyone, yeah, from
my
day
guts.
one. So people were helping me kind of fit out or fix my venture that was shield and armor fitted that I was running level 1 missions with.
Yeah, that's that's a very simple. Like EVE players love like it's like a shared misery because there's no guide for the game. Like the
Right.
tutorial doesn't really prepare you too much for exactly how things are gonna work. So
Yeah.
they love like finding a new player and just sharing that experience so you don't have to go through the embarrassing loss of dying to NPCs with your
Exactly.
your hull tank adventure.
Exactly. But yeah, I stumbled onto to Twitch. I think I ran across Tamiya Cowboy's stream, who helps a lot of new players, and saw this crazy old goat playing EVE and just kind of jumped into it that way, you know?
Like, that looks inviting. Look what it did to that guy.
Yeah. Everything's gonna be fine.
Totally. So it's, what's your full stream name? Is it
It's Six String Wiz, which is my gamer tag from when I was like 13. So
Six String Wiz? And
yeah.
that comes from what?
I'm a guitar player.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you still play guitar?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a pretty large collection of guitars, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
a lot of fun.
You ever play on air?
I've never played on air, and surprisingly, no one's ever asked me to play on air
Oh,
either.
well, this is where we will never be mistaken for each other because you're talented. And you have actually a musical talent,
Fair enough. Fair
which
enough.
is great.
Yeah.
But you guys also have been doing it. You've been doing a ton of work with Torvald and the other guys, Mrs. Moses and Raiden.
That's right.
What's that like? Almost working the convention as part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Streamfleet is, really hard at work just behind the scenes, putting together the show, both here in the main presentation room, and also we have another presentation room as well.
Yeah.
And it's great. I attended eVegas last year as just an attendee. I was part of Streamfleet, but I wasn't behind the scenes yet. I wasn't that kind of ingrained in Streamfleet yet.
Yeah.
And it was it's been fun. It's been a learning experience, and I think the team works really well together.
Yeah.
Both Nobu, Torvald, Raiden, Ms. Moses, EQ, everyone on the team just works really well.
Oh, okay. That's a EQ. Okay.
EQ, that's the guy behind
The
it.
guy behind like the
CCP
16
guy.
monitors, making sure everything actually gets on air. Yeah.
Yeah, EQ is the brains of the operation here.
Those are the people you can thank for this stream. So this is like, we could never have pulled this off. It takes a team like Streamfleet and with volunteers like 6 here.
Thank you.
Well, I can see the similarities. You have a very soothing personality, and you're a new player, so you
I'm a new
probably
player, yeah.
get blown up a lot.
Well,
like I do. So.
I jumped into Eve and I really I went into the deep end like pretty fast. I aspired to be an FC. Started a group called Entropic Collective. So we run invasion fleets. So shout out to Entropic Collective.
Nice.
We run invasion fleets all the time, and I was FCing for that, which
You're already FCing?
my voice doesn't really lend itself for FCing because I'm like too chill for FCing.
Yeah.
Which is maybe not that common.
You
but-
can definitely do chill FCing. It works.
Yeah, I think you're a chill FCer, right? I've heard about Elise
A
being
little
very
bit more
calm.
relaxed. It depends. When things go wrong, then a little bit more heated. But,
Yeah.
Right.
Let's hear you scream. Like, go ahead and scream at me.
I
like,
literally can't because I lost my voice from last night.
oh,
so-
okay, all right.
But it's funny you say you're a new player. It's
Yeah.
like EVE Online is one of the only games where like, yeah, I've been playing 3 years. I'm a new player. Like, you
Yeah,
still-
exactly. Right.
You still carry that badge. It feels like for
That's why I'm like, I'm a year and a half in, so I'm still a new player.
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's one of the things that CCP Hilmar was. I don't know if we actually caught this on the interview, but it's pretty interesting. And he's interesting because he'll talk. He's like, turn on the cameras, let's go. He's like, he's ready to interview. He doesn't need any prep. He doesn't need to know anything. He just like sits down, go, and then he interviews very well. The camera goes off, and nothing changes. He's the same. He keeps
He's
going.
just the same person.
Yeah. So one of the things we were talking about was that, give or take from 6 months, when somebody starts playing, is a really critical period. Which is why they're concentrating on that funnel up to that point,
Sure.
because you can really tell how many people are going to stick around in EVE Online by that, 3 months, I think, to 9 or 12 months period. So it's very interesting. So I think once you're at 3 years, though, you're kind of a veteran. Like
Yeah.
you're starting to really harden up as a veteran because you've had enough time to do
You've been-
a range of things.
Properly salted by that point.
Yeah. Probably salty, right. That's perfect. Well, it certainly is a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise, yeah. Thanks for having me on.
And it'll be good to watch your stream and to raid you every once in a
Yeah.
while and all that kind of
Appreciate
stuff.
it,
And
yeah.
thanks for all the work you've
Big-
done here.
Yeah, thank you. Big fan of the show. So thanks.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you, Six.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so that is going to wrap it up for us, but we want to show you something real quick. There's a lot of gear that comes at eVegas, so this is one of the things. I want to open it in front of you guys. I think this is a limited edition art book. So just want to do a quick
It's like an unboxing live on
unboxing,
there,
yeah, because I heard this is really good for YouTube, and and there's some lady that makes like $1 million just unboxing stuff. So we're going to do our version of it. I am actually not sure what's in here, but I think it's artwork. Oh, this is, wow, check that out. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, they have this for sale here among a bunch of other objects. And we have 3D printed ships now that are being auctioned off. And of course, there's a lot of like gear, and it changes every year, which is kind of cool. But I think there's probably, this looks like a plate of Jita. And if I'm not mistaken, that is maybe the old Jita. I don't know if it has the new stuff on it because this stuff was made a while ago. So let me further go into this and put this lovely box aside.
Yeah, you were mentioning the 3D printed chip models. They're hugely popular here. I saw CCP Antiquarian. I've had the pleasure of having a lot of interactions with him through the Alliance tournament and stuff like that. And I think that's the first time I've ever seen his face truly have joy. Is when he was like holding a magnate in his hand. He was like, this is a magnate.
Yeah, so this has a couple plates of art, and I believe, what ship is this, Elise?
I don't know, actually.
It was...
blinded by the light, so it's hard to see a little
yeah.
bit.
Well, it has the artist names on it. I remember this ship being made. It's like the Eagle or something. But these are like concept art. It's beautiful. It comes with it, so that's collectors. And then the last thing is this book. We'll go ahead and open that as well. I think I actually already have this book at home, but now I have a second one. And this is, oh yes, Eve Universe. Let's just have a look inside here.
Yeah, this is a fun coffee table book that
Starships, the art. Oh yes.
you can bring like family members that don't quite get Eve. Like I know holidays, my mom is. She tries to get Eve, but she's not quite sure. She's like, whatever, that weird game. But I can give her this, and she kind of gets a little bit better perspective, and she's like, oh, these are cool. Like this is what you do.
Yeah, you can admire this stuff even if you don't play the game. But it also shows you just how much work has gone into EVE Online over the years. I mean, there's a ton of art, a ton of programming to make this kind of stuff come alive. But this concept art is absolutely gorgeous. And that's the kind of thing that is for sale here at EVE Vegas. And you can buy that, I think, probably off the EVE store. But yeah, so I think that's going to wrap it up for us. Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss?
If you guys haven't had the opportunity to yet, or you're just not sure what you want to check out from EVE Vegas, I would highly suggest CCP Rise's presentation that was yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the best EVE presentation I've ever seen, ever, like full stop.
Whoa, really?
The tone of it was just absolutely perfect.
It's pitch perfect for his audience, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
and for the mood of the game too, right? So it kind of brought me back to what I call the golden era of EVE, where it felt like the developers were just players among us that were like super passionate, and they knew what was going on and stuff like that. So for the longest time, it felt like there's been a bit of a disconnect. And a lot of that's just mostly perception and just communication stuff, but.
Right.
I think he just nailed it and got it perfect. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, I didn't get to see the exact numbers of the Dreadnought. That's why I was disappointed." But the tone of his presentation was very, very good, and it just made me very excited about the future of the game. So
It seemed like he was speaking their language.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking to them like they understand it.
yeah, it definitely it was much less of a like a media blitz or anything like that. It was definitely for the players, for the exact mood that the players have right now.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just perfect. He
That's
nailed
great.
it.
So that's CCP Rise's presentation that happened yesterday about this time. There are more presentations today. We're still in the middle of the conference. And if you happen to be in Vegas and we're watching this, we're going to all meet up afterwards at the Bird Bar to hang out with TIS. Actually, just 2 of us.
Yeah.
No, there's like 12 of us here, but only 2 of us showed up in the morning. So yeah, hang out with us. And if you weren't able to make EVE Vegas, like a lot of people weren't, we've been trying to produce stuff that is being published now so that you can see some of the background stuff. And always check out TIS Discord for what's going on as people talk in real time and drop in pictures and that sort of thing. So I want to thank Elise for making it up this morning.
Absolutely.
It's got to be tough.
But yeah, the TIS Discord has like an EVE Vegas channel you can opt into, and that kind of gets like a nice slice of life for what it's like. Especially like 2 or 3 in the morning, you'd be like, "Where are you guys at?" Oh, blah blah blah.
I'm lost.
Yeah.
Find me. Yeah. So anyway, thanks very much, and thanks again to Streamfleet, Raiden, and Miss Moses. Thank you very much for everything that you do. We want to invite you to the next Vegas. It's probably FanFest, and so maybe we'll see you there. I may actually make it there. It would be fun to see you guys there too. But from Las Vegas, thanks very much. This was Talking in Stations, and we will see you next time.